there's the people trying to make a dollar, and there's the people doing it for the love. Typically, your mom and pop shops, locally owned restaurants, is doing it for the love, that good quality food. The franchise restaurants is trying to do it for a dollar.
Hey, it's Chaz back again with another episode of Law Have Mercy. I am super pumped about today's episode. We got Philip Norred. Is that the right way to say it?
Yes, sir.
I just know you as Philip's Kitchen, right? And that's really not your last name. Kitchen is not your last name.
No, sir.
I'm a huge fan of his Instagram videos, and I was watching them, and I thought they were fantastic. So I said, Philip, come on the podcast, bro.
Yeah.
And he agreed, and he came in all the way from Ruston,
Louisiana.
Were you here yesterday?
I was here yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes,
What do
sir.
you grab a hotel and spend a couple of days, or you have some buddies or something?
I actually rolled in, I would say Thursday morning, went and had lunch, and hit a couple more spots and just got a hotel. I was actually gonna hit up my buddy Mondo Duplantis. A lot of people know him, Olympic gold medalist. He was actually out of town, doing his thing in Sweden. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll just go hit up the hotel and, catch me a nap, prepare for today.
Well, if Mondo's not available, I mean, who's next, right? Mondo, Shaq. No, Shaq's not available. Chaz Roberts. Let's hit him up.
Chaz Roberts.
And we're doing this podcast, and then we're going to a spot after this to do one of your food reviews.
Yes, sir.
And so I get to see how you make that magic happen.
A lot of behind the scenes stuff. I was actually doing a video yesterday with Miss Caroline from Lafayette Eats, and she saw a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. The first thing she says, "You do all the videoing yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "That's so neat." I'm like, a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So she actually went through the whole me setting up the camera and us, being actors, and just it was like, well, we're not really acting. It's just in the moment. It's just you have to go through the process of setting up the camera, and it's like a lot of people don't see. They see that minute and 30-second beautiful clip, and they're like, "That's so awesome," but they don't realize the work it takes behind the scenes.
How long does it take you to film a video?
It really depends on just what I got to get. If there's a lot of customers there, and all that.
Do the restaurant owners know what's going on?
Well, sometimes I talk to them if I know I'm gonna enjoy the food. Sometimes I don't. It just depends, A lot of times I really don't like them to know I'm coming. But if I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be good, I say, hey, can I talk to the manager, the owner? I shake hands with him, whatnot, and I just start letting them know that I'm gonna be there. I start filming. What I like to do is I try to get the film of the video of the food first, because I don't go through all the trouble of filming what I need to film. Then sit down and eat the food. I'm like, what is this? It's like the food looks good. I take a bite. I'm like, they need to use some salt and pepper. So I'm like, well, so I try to taste the food. I was like, the food's good. I was like, yeah. So then most of the time
Then it's worth a review.
it's worth a review. If I shake hands with the owner, I say, look, let me ask you a few questions, and I interview the owner, it's going to get posted. Most of the time it's going to get posted. So there's a lot of work it takes into doing those videos. You ought to know that, and a lot of content creators ought to know there's a lot of work in editing the videos, getting the videos posted, and it could sometimes be exhausting.
Yeah, and you do all the editing yourself?
Yes, sir. I do the filming, the editing, the posting. I do it all.
I think you're so authentic and unique in the way you handle it, and I really enjoy watching your videos. One of the things that strike me is you're always in a suit, which you are today. What's the story of the suit?
Well, I've always been a really big, suit guy. A lot of people don't really know that. I don't really actually wear the full suit. I wear dress jeans, and I have a couple, jackets in my car, a couple shirts.
You never know. You never know when a review might break out. You got to have the suit ready.
I'll have the pants. I wear. I got the shoes, and all I do is sometimes I might just change the jacket and the tie. People are like, oh, he's on a totally different outfit. No, not really, not really. And Gerald Greenick, I was going down to that little festival he does.
Yeah.
Is it
Katie and Eats.
Katie and Eats. I said I was asking. I was like, well, I'll just come casual. He's like, hey man, you got to rock the suit, man. People know you about the suit. You got to come in the suit. You got to at least have the jacket. I'm like, okay. So I guess it's really my signature. I mean, and when I walk in a restaurant, people's like, hey, I follow your page, man. I like your videos. Like, hey, thank you for the motivation. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah.
That kind of saying. So I'm like, well, I can't really get away from it now. You know, kind of mixing it up. Turning around, watching one of my videos, and I'm just in a regular sweatshirt. You're like,
What's wrong? What's wrong?
"Are you all right, man?" It's kind of so I just can't get away from it. You know,
And you were telling me before we started filming, you've been doing this for like 2 years.
only a couple years, yes, sir.
Yeah, you've built quite the following in 2 years.
Well, I mean, people like to go out to eat. You know, they like to eat. They want to see, what's out there. They like their food. Nobody wants to be home and cook nowadays.
Even
You
in
know,
Ruston, I thought that was just a South Louisiana thing.
South Louisiana got the best food. South Louisiana got the best food. I'm actually from a small town called Holden, Louisiana, right there in Livingston Parish. That's where I grew up at, and just not really far from New Orleans, really not far from Baton Rouge, and people like to eat down there in South Louisiana.
Yeah. What's your favorite type of food?
My favorite, I mean, no, I like, believe it or not, Indian food, Cajun food. I got a Cajun food. I love Cajun food. Who don't like Cajun food? And I would say more like Italian food. So Indian food, Italian food, Cajun food typically is what I really enjoy. And of course, I like anything. There's nothing I really would not eat.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, it's like doing.
I like to eat. I just like to eat.
Yeah.
I told this to somebody the other day, they're talking about boudin, and I was like, man, I never met a boudin link I didn't like. I don't think I've had bad pizza in my life. Like
Pizza's just one of those things, speaking of pizza, I consider pizza a cuisine in itself, even though, it's Italian, but pizza's eaten so much, it's by far the most eaten food in the entire world globally, and it's not even close to number two. So just pizza by itself, I consider that a cuisine in itself.
what's your favorite pizza?
I like Neapolitan style pizza, your typical Neapolitan style pizza. I like firewood oven pizza. A lot of people get confused between they think just because it's firewood, it's Neapolitan. That's not necessarily true. Neapolitan style pizza has to, be a certain size. It has to be cooked at a certain temperature. Firewood oven pizza could be all sizes. There's a place in Sterlington I like, Revival Pizza. He got small, medium, large. He does firewood oven pizza. So, and it's not technically Neapolitan style pizza because it's not that certain size, and sometimes it's not always cooked at that high temperature. Sometimes it's cooked at that lower temperature, and a lot of times it tastes better.
Yeah, I think I remember from, was it Bread and Circus? You have to have certain requirements to be considered Neapolitan pizza. Then you also need the certain tomatoes.
Certain tomatoes, yes,
certain
sir.
tomatoes, certain size, and all that stuff.
Yes, sir.
There is by the way, a couple things on pizza. Did you see that Dave Portnoy went to New Orleans and had good pizza? You're familiar with Dave Portnoy?
I heard of him. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
you should look into him if you're
I will
reviewing
definitely
food,
look into him.
because he has pizza reviews. He got really famous from his pizza reviews, and that kind of Barstool kind of piggybacked on his actual pizza reviews. He'd have a different pizza every single day, and the interviews are hilarious. But he just went to New Orleans for the Super Bowl, and one place he went to is called Forbidden Pizza, and I think it was just a few weeks open. You've been there before it blew up? Right after it blew up? So the line is a 40-minute, 50-minute. People are standing outside because of his pizza review, because he gave it an 8 point something, which is very high.
That's impressive.
And it's only a few weeks old. And it was so Forbidden Pizza in New Orleans. And there's a place in Lafayette I want you to try before you leave. Is it Siraca's? What is it? Sacara's? Sarica's. Okay, we're going to get the name. It's a husband and wife from Italy. They started in a food truck, and they just did a brick and mortar place here. And it's, like Lathis said, it's supposed to be fantastic. So we'll get you that name before.
Heck yeah, I definitely want to go try it out. I mean, pizza, I'm doing my pizza tour, and it's a Louisiana pizza tour, going to all the places. When I'm done with my pizza tour, I guess when I get it done, I'm kind of, dragging it along. But I actually plan on awarding my favorite pizza spot, maybe getting a plaque to my favorite pizza restaurant in Louisiana, voted by Phillips Kitchen. And, just a little something.
Man, I think you're gonna have to go to this spot. I think you're gonna have to go to this spot
I have
before
to
you
go
leave
check it out
Lafayette.
now.
Maybe we'll do 2 food reviews. It's just selfishly.
I have to check it out now. I mean, y'all talking about that, so
So we're how do you choose the restaurants that you go to?
well, at first I started, starting out. I just started say going hitting up the spots I know I would like. I'm like, okay, let me hit that spot up. But then as I began to grow, I began to go off the recommendations of my followers. Typically I wait till about maybe 2 or 3, 4 or 5 followers to recommend different followers to recommend the same location. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to go try this spot because I mean there ain't nothing like going in a restaurant, paying for the food and just be like, what is this? And it's like, so if 5 different total people like it and recommend it to me as a food influencer, I'm like, well, yeah, it's gonna be good. So I go there and I like going to places that I'm gonna like versus going to places that I'm like going in there really, in my opinion, wasting my time. And it's got to be good food. It's got to be good customer service. Because that's my reputation. If I go in a restaurant, it's not really that great customer service, or it could be good customer service, just bad food. I'm like, and I say, well, yeah, come here, try this place. This place is good. That's my reputation. And one of my followers would go there and be like, unfollow.
Yeah.
It's like he said, come here. This place ain't that great, and so
So Gerald talked about Jared Grunick again talked about he grew up in a restaurant and his dad. So he literally grew up upstairs in a po' boy restaurant. And so he has a deep love for the restaurant industry. And so when he goes do reviews, he's trying to help promote that business because he loves it. What drives you to promote restaurants?
well, what drives me to promote restaurants is well, the locally owned side of it, the mom and pop locations. A lot of people don't realize there's 2 sides of this. There's the people trying to make a dollar, and there's the people doing it for the love. Typically, your mom and pop shops, locally owned restaurants, is doing it for the love, that good quality food. The franchise restaurants is trying to do it for a dollar. They go up in there, they you what do you do when you need some work done at your house? You get what you pay for. You hire somebody. You want the work done right. You want it done correctly because you're paying for that. Same thing with a restaurant. You go in a restaurant. You want it done. You want good food. You want what you pay for. Good customer service. Um, a lot of times in a franchise, you walk in there, you might get low quality food, something that came frozen, already pre-made off of a truck. I mean, some frozen patty, throw it on the grill. That's brought to your table. You went up there, you paid for that. And it's like, do you really deserve that? And it all goes down to they're just trying to make a dollar versus going to that local mom and pop shop. They proud of what they do. They in there 3, 4 o'clock in the morning making that made from scratch food to sell out and come back the next morning and do it again. They're making that good quality food. They proud of what they do. You go in there, you greet it with a smile, with a handshake at the door. You go in there, you pay for that food. That's what I like. It's a business, but also you as a customer, you want what you paid for. So the local mom, and not only that, it's good to support your local restaurants and local businesses because it's good for the community. And also, not only that, it's a win-win. It's good for the community. You're getting the best customer service. You're getting the best food. And don't get me wrong, there are some franchises I've been in, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is pretty nice food, pretty good food. And so, not all franchises, but most of the time, the rule of thumb, the franchises, you walk in a franchise, it's like you're not always going to get the best quality. And that's why I'm trying to highlight those local businesses, those local restaurants, and that's why I do what I do.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, I was telling, it's so funny. I went to Chick-fil-A last night after the ballpark, and I was explaining to my son, who's 8, I was explaining to him how this is all systematized. Chick-fil-A, right? They weren't mixing eggs and sugar in the bag. This came in a bag that they put in a machine and they press one button, but it's going to be perfect every time, as perfect as a machine shake can be. And it's the same in Lafayette as it's the same in Covington and Des Moines, Iowa, right?
Exact same, yeah.
And I said, now Chaz's burger joint in Cecilia, Louisiana, I might put a little more cayenne pepper on this batch than this batch. It's not systematized, but there's love that went into it, and there's creativity that goes into it, and there's passion, and you can taste that in the food.
Yes.
And I told him, I said, you haven't been to France. One day we can, but in France, it's so lovely because every time they serve you, even if it's an egg omelet, they say bon appetit, and with a big smile on their face. And that literally means good appetite, or I hope you enjoy this. And it's so beautiful when you see these people crafting the most simple dishes, like an egg omelet, and they're like waiting for your reaction because somebody put some love into it.
They're proud of it.
They're proud of it. It had nothing to do with money. Money's just a byproduct. It's about the love. And I think that's really cool that's how you approach restaurants, because you know that there's way easier ways to make money than running a restaurant.
And the thing about it is, the restaurant industry, there's so much competition. So much competition. I mean, you would think
You're in the Mecca right here, brother.
You would think it's just there's so much competition, and you would think if you're not in it for the love, then just get out of it. I mean, if you're not in it just get out of it. I mean, if you're trying to do it to make $1, get out of it, because especially right here in Lafayette, some of the best food in Louisiana, if not the best food. Good luck coming here, opening a restaurant, and you're just trying to make $1. Yeah. Go somewhere else. I'm sorry. Leave Louisiana.
There's been a lot of places that have done very well in New Orleans, and they come here and they try to open up a satellite spot, and huge successes. That Dog is one of them, right? Drago's is another one that have had immense success. Other places they come in here and they're like, oh great, we got a food culture here. We're gonna kill it.
Lafayette's known for their food culture.
Nope.
No.
They didn't kill it.
They didn't kill it.
They didn't kill. Something was off, and it just didn't work out. So we are going. Do you know where we're going for our food review?
Probably that pizza spot. Or you got me curious now. You're talking about. I mean, I'm a big pizza guy. You're talking about that pizza spot. I'm like, heck yeah.
So do we do pizza or do we do Cajun? What do y'all think? T-Coons? Okay, so T-Coons is a plate lunch place, quarter mile from here.
Okay.
Are you interested in that, Cajun food?
Yes, sir. I'm down.
Okay. All right. Now, what happens if you don't like it?
Here's the thing. I just don't.
We're not gonna post.
No, it's just. I'm trying to highlight, the good spots, and if they don't meet that criteria, there's a lot of places I actually went up in before, wanted to give a good review. And I'm like, yeah, I'm looking forward to this spot. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be good. And I'm like, very disappointed. I mean, there's a little spot in Ruston. I'm like, ugh, just that one spot. And I'm like, it sucks. It really does. It sucks because I wanted to give him a good review. I'm like, and I can't because one, the food just sucked, and I'm like, there's no love into it. I'm like, and it was, believe it or not, a local spot, and I'm like, no. On to the next one.
Yeah, Philip's not going to shut him down this week. No, I think we're gonna have a good meal, and I think it's gonna be, it's pretty solid. They've been doing it for a long time. The owner's in the back cooking. And they even have beignets for dessert. So we're gonna have a good time.
You mentioned the owner. That's one thing I like about local mom and pop shops. You go up in there, you look out of the corner of your eye, you see there's the owner over there mopping floors. You go to another spot. There's an owner up there, man, flipping burgers in the back. Go to a franchise.
The
Where's the
owner,
owner?
yeah,
Oh,
some
wait. He lives 7 states away from here. He's not even close. He hasn't been to this restaurant in a long time. Yeah. That's why I like the owner's there taking pride in what he does and in his establishment.
where do you see you taking this in the social media?
Um, of course, I want to grow it for not only my benefit, the general public's benefit. That hey, I'm looking for a spot to eat. Man, let me hit up Philip's Kitchen. Where has he been out here in Lafayette? Oh, check it out, man. Let's go to the Cajun Table. Man, they got some good food. Oh, man, let's go to Potts Po' Boys then downtown, man. Man, him and Gerald Green had went there, man. They got some good po' boys out there, man. Just, it's for the general public and to really highlight those, not only locally owned spots, mom and pop shops, but the best spots. And that's where I want to take it and just grow with it and run with it.
I love that. Has anyone approached you to sponsor your podcast? I mean, I'm sorry, not your podcast, your social media.
There's been a few people, here and there, will send me a direct message, and I don't really know how to, approach with it, and it's like, well, so basically, I just have never really moved forward with it. So,
Are you familiar with Keith Lee?
I'm not.
Okay, you got to research him too. He's huge on TikTok. He goes around,
I'll
does the
have
same
to.
thing basically you do. He does it differently, but he goes to random spots and he's really grown. I mean, he's got millions of followers now, and he just goes and gives an honest review. Now he'll post the bad reviews. He'll
Yeah.
put people out of business.
See, like that's like me. A lot of people ask me, I notice you don't post bad reviews. Well, that's not necessarily true. I don't post the bad reviews. I do have bad reviews. I just don't post them. People's like, so in other words, not posting bad reviews, some of my followers will be like, well, you just like every restaurant you step in. I was like, no, you just see the ones I post. So the ones I don't like, I'm like, it's just, because I only go to local owned restaurants to begin with. Oh, I'll go in if I go in a franchise, I don't like the food, man. I'm
Hammer him.
hammer him. But if I go in a local owned spot, man, he's trying to make a business, and I'm like, I just don't really want to go through take the time to edit a video, which takes a little while anyways, and just to post a bad review. And I'm like, well, and then again, he's trying to be in business, but if someone was to ask me or send me a direct, hey, have you been to this restaurant? I will privately message you. Yeah, I've been to that restaurant. That place sucks. The customer service is good, but the food is very disappointing. Blah blah blah. That's what I'll be glad to text you and let you know. Have I been there? Yeah, I'm sorry. The food sucks. They greet you with a smile on their face when you walk in the door. I mean, but the food is terrible. I will be glad to tell you that. But publicly saying it, it's just I can't really bring myself to do it.
Philip, what is your favorite spots in Louisiana that you've had food?
I get asked that question a lot. And typically I say, well, you got to ask me about cuisine. So by cuisine, probably one of my favorite Italian places I've been to is I like Gino's in Monroe. Really good, made from scratch food. They're a family bloodline. They've been open for years. Family bloodline they're from Italy. So I like that spot for Italian food. Probably my favorite, pizza spot has to be Encore in New Orleans. Encore is a must go to. I went there with Dr. Bill. A lot of people know him from his famous syrup, Dr. Bill's cane and maple syrup, and he's also a big pizza guy. When he talks about pizza, I tend to stay quiet and just open my ears and just feel the knowledge because he knows his stuff about pizza. Speaking about pizza, probably my favorite traditional oven style pizza outside of firewood has to be Rick's Pizza in Gina or Peggy's in Natchitoches. That's probably my two favorite pizza spots with the traditional oven style. I would say my favorite Cajun spots that I've been to has to be, Cajun Table in Lafayette. How do you say it? Right there. It's in coming into Lafayette. There's a spot right there coming into Lafayette.
Bonton?
I just posted it. It's Pray John's. Probably Pray John's as well.
Okay, I was
like
thinking
Pray
about
John's.
going to Prejean's today,
Pray
but
John's.
I didn't know you did a review there. Cool.
Yes, sir. And believe it or not, one of my favorites Cajun spots is in Shreveport.
Philip,
It's
don't do
in
this to me,
Shreveport.
brother.
Oh my gosh!
Don't
And it's
do
like,
this to
people
me, brother.
Like Cajuns are proud of their food.
Yes.
And especially
You're
South,
speaking to one.
people in South Louisiana, they're proud of their stuff and they're passionate about their stuff. And they're like, and they hear me mention Shreveport, they're like, Shreveport. I was like, yeah, I'm from South Louisiana, so I know how you feel. Orlando's Cafe in Shreveport. If you ever in Shreveport, it's on Cross Lake. You gotta go there. The guy, to make you feel better, the owner's from South Louisiana.
Okay. He's a transplant. I'll
So he's
take
a
that.
transplant, and he kind of brought his stuff up there to show the people in North Louisiana, hey, this is how you make Cajun food. Because there's spots up there that they slap Cajun on their restaurant, and then you go up there and you're like,
Yeah, this
What
is
is
regular food with Tony Sachery's on it.
pretty much, and the locals keep it full. They're like, man, that's some good food. Well, me being from South Louisiana, I go up in there. I'm like, all right. I sit down. I try the etouffee. I'm like, I try the gumbo. I'm like, did you make this roux? Did they? No, we just. I mean, there's some stuff we order. I'm like, okay, I
Yeah.
heard enough. But the locals up there keep it full, and they think, oh, it's something. It's like, okay, if it wasn't for the locals, this place would not be open. So I'm like, yeah. So another place I really like is Pizza Shack in Opelousas.
Oh,
Dude.
my grandfather loves that place.
Pizza Shack. Let me
I hear nothing but in Opelousas. There's two spots: it's Mama's Fried Chicken and Pizza Shack.
Pizza Shack. Let me tell you something about Pizza Shack. I think there's another one in the one Gerald went to. I forget the name of the town, but there's actually two locations, I believe. But the Pizza Shack in Opelousas. Let me tell you what they did. Normally, most pizza, you put a lot of toppings on it. It tends to be kind of soaked on the bottom, especially when we put a lot of meat products on top. I ordered a pizza. I think it's called the 30 Special. It had a lot of toppings on it. I'm like, it's going to be soaked on the bottom. Man, it's perfectly crust on the bottom, crisp. I'm like, it's not soaking wet. They mastered that. I'm like, most pizza restaurants you go to is, piled up with a bunch of toppings. It typically be soaked on the bottom. But they managed to, I'm like, okay, that's pretty nice. So I was pretty impressed by that. Very impressive. So
Pizza Shack,
yeah.
baby.
Pizza Shack. So
What- You have any more for us?
I
I'm
would
putting
say
you on the spot.
if you're going to go to, if you want a good po' boy, obviously Potts Po' Boys in Lafayette, boom. But believe it or not, there's a little spot I found in central Louisiana. It's called Po' Boy Express. When you hear about the name, you're like, well, that's a franchise. Well, no, not really. It's not really a franchise. It's locally owned, but they got some good po' boys up in there. And right there in Alexandria, Louisiana. And I'm like, speaking of Cajun, there's a spot now, it's in Pineville. It's Quibido's Cajun Cafe. Chef John Valenzuela, he is an award-winning chef. He opened that spot, and my God, it's kind of like a cuisine and Italian clash with pasta and that Cajun cuisine. And you would think, you'd be like, but you go up in there, you're like, oh my God, this place is good. And it's like, yeah. So, and also I really like his chicken cracklings he makes at his other location, in Alexandria. And those are the spots I really like.
I think chicken crackling was a great addition to the Cajun culinary palette over the last 5 years because I didn't know what a Cajun crackling was before 5 years ago, and now I see them everywhere, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it, buddy. You're in the corridor right here, man. We have Blanchard's Barbecue is outstanding, Chris's Po' Boy is outstanding, Tikkun's, Zorba's if you like Greek. I mean, we have so many good places to eat, like within a half mile here. So we could do several food reviews right here, man. We got great food here, and it's different ethnicities too, and it's different varieties. And Lafayette is actually underrated because not only do you have Cajun food, but you have so many other types of food where they've really taken it and adding a little spice, and it's better.
It's better food.
It's better food. Is there any type of food that you don't like?
Any type of food I don't like, I don't like peas. But you're speaking of the cuisine part of it.
Right.
I would say, I guess, really be honest, I like really all cuisines. I would say, like, food in the cuisine, just to be honest, American food. I mean, I like a cheeseburger, but anything just American food in general, probably my least favorite cuisine. Don't get me wrong, I like me a good cheeseburger, but even a cheeseburger started out in Hamburg, Germany. So, so
you stay away from the cheeseburgers and hot dogs kind of situation.
Well, yeah, it's just, probably my least favorite cuisine has got to be American cuisine, but all around, I like everything in general. Now I could tell you the restaurants I don't like, but that's for a different story. But I also want to make mention that probably the most underrated restaurant I have been in is right there in Ruston, Lula Pearl. The owners have been in the culinary industry for a very long time, and they just know what they're doing up in there. Man, I go up in there, and it's like I try to, of course, me being from Ruston, I try to go up in there about, every other morning, get me a cup of coffee, sit down. They live on their specials. Of course, they have their regular menu, but man, they always have these nice specials, and it's like, wow, they made from scratch food, and it's just a lot of people up in Ruston just don't really know about the spot, and I want them to know about the spot because the locals, they have their favorites in Ruston, and they just can't seem to get away from their favorites. But no offense, their favorites, their restaurants that the locals love, I'm not really a fan of.
They're tired, huh?
It's like they keep those. It's like 4 or 5 spots. They keep them full. This is good food. I was like, no, the food, no, it's not. It's not. Go try Lula Pearl. Yeah, you'll change your mind. They got it going on up in there. It's very underrated. But if you go up in there once or twice, you're gonna be, especially once, you're gonna be hooked. You're gonna be hooked.
Lula Pearl.
Lula Pearl. They opened not long ago. I say not long ago, maybe a year or 2 ago, but they doing it right up in there.
Philip, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram. That's one of my biggest following. Another big following is TikTok. I kind of got away from TikTok because the drama with, whatever, the politics side of it, banning it, don't ban it, whatever. I just don't really want to get into it. But I guess because it's back, so I'm going back to post on it. You can also find me on my Facebook. I'm trying to build my YouTube. My YouTube is not necessarily, I've been really lazy with it, but I do need to post on it a lot more.
And it's at Philip's Kitchen?
At,
what's your Instagram handle? At Philip's Kitchen?
Phillips_kitchen.
Phillips_kitchen. Cool, man. Well, thank you, and let's go eat.
Yes, definitely.
Appreciate your time, brother.